I have an incredible fear that I haven't really talked about much. One which may be pretty common, but for me it's terrifying. And that's the fear of silence. My mind is never silent. There's always something going on. And if it's not with distraction, it's filled with anxiety and fear of what others might think, of negative feelings. It's always filling the void. And so when I sit in my trailer sometimes and there's nothing, I get so scared. I don't know if it's irrational. I'm not scared of something coming. I'm scared that there's nothing. In every conversation I have with people, I'm always the center of attention if there's this awkward silence or whatever, and I'm always there to have an anecdote to fill the gap. And when I'm alone, my mind is always there to fill the gap. Even if it's terrible anxiety and fear, or maybe if it's self-loathing. But I feel like these last few months, my mind's been building up. And I have been having more and more moments of just silence. And it scares me to death. Makes me so afraid. It reminds me of how alone I am. And I don't think that I've come to terms with that as much yet. That's why I still sit here and cry and talk and try to fill the time with these blogs, and I can't stop talking, either in my head or on a mic, or go nursing, or fill my life with distractions. But with this depression, all of those desires are leaving, and it's just getting really empty. The problem is my mind's not filling it with things. Sometimes. It's so scary, and I don't know what to do about it. It makes me want to go hide, or it makes me start talking to myself to fill the silence. Because at least if I'm talking to myself, that I don't have to listen to nothing. I've been finding myself turning off my music. That I've listened to it pretty constantly every day. But I've been finding myself turning it off and noticing that I just start staring off, even when I'm driving, and that's so scary to me. I went to another death call tonight. Patient had died this evening, sooner than they had thought. And what happens on a death call is I go in and I make sure, I check their pulse, their breathing is stopped, their heart is stopped, and I make sure that they're dead, and I pronounce the time of death. And what happens then is there's this moment as a nurse where, as a hospice nurse, where you send the family away and you prep the body. And you know what happens in this moment? There's this uneasy silence. I don't sit there and talk to the patient. Because, you know, their spirit, if you believe in that, is gone. All that's left is them, you know, their body. And it's the most... is the hardest silence that I have to deal with in my job and my life, is these moments. So when I am by myself and I have those moments of silence, I get scared and I become afraid. I start feeling claustrophobic, like I can't breathe. I start having anxiety and getting kind of panicky. And I start crying sometimes, and it makes that makes it better, but I'm in there with this patient and I'm not talking. I'm not even thinking, I'm just doing. It's such a terrible silence that I don't know how to deal with in my life. There's no bigger reminder when you're prepping a body, and maybe you feel this way in a mortuary, or maybe this goes away, but after time, I don't know, but you feel so alone. I mean, we come into this world like alone, and we die alone. We don't take anything with us. I mean, if you believe in the afterlife, then it's your experiences here. It's the challenges that you overcame or faced or didn't overcome that you take with you as well. It was just a really hard day today. I had those moments of silence. I've had 2 deaths in a row this week. They usually come in 3s. They usually come at 2 in the morning. This one wasn't at 2 in the morning for whatever reason. But it's the same. The family leaves. And it's not like gross or anything like that. It's just silent. And I like to think of it as maybe reverenced, you know. In church, it's hard to stay silent and be reverent. You kidding me? My mind's racing a mile a minute. But in these circumstances, it goes blank. I just haven't had that happen to me too many times in my life, and it's so scary to me. It gives me some anxiety and some fear. Maybe that my life will end, or that it won't end quick enough. I see all the pain that these people have to go in at the end of life, and we do what we can to take them out of pain, but I feel like it's just... when you see a person that's just ready to leave this world, it makes you wonder, wow, what have they gone through to get to that point? And for some people, it's really young. Some people come to that point when they're a teenager, right? Some people never want to leave. They feel like they've never done enough. I just feel like I'm never good enough. That's my problem, you know? Like I'm never good enough. Not for myself, not for my children, not for my job. Not for any amount of friends that I could ever have in my life. I'm never good enough for them. It's constant. And then it's scary when my mind just shuts off. I don't know what's on the other side, you know? Scares me so bad.